Alright, let me pop open the actual stream on the Twitchy Twitch. Snugpod. Twitchy Twitch. I want to go to our channel. There we are. I'm gonna pre-show. Tree show.
So if I check the volume on the mic, mine sounds like this, and yours sounds like what?
It sounds like this. How does it sound? Let me, hold on, you might get some noise. I'm gonna slide it over a hair. Because I'm a little bit, okay. I'm a little bit off-centered on my desk. What is happening? Oh no. Sorry everyone if you're rewatching this stream. Oh boy, that was good times there.
Okay, I had to actually get it set to my phone so I could hear it. So I'm checking the volume on my mic again now, and your mic again now.
And my mic again now, and hopefully I'm not dropping things and unplugging all my stuff so you can actually check my mic. Testing, testing.
You might be a little bit louder than me. It's not too bad. I mean, I think it's probably pretty close.
One more time, one last test.
Test, 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 test.
Okay, I think it sounds pretty even on my side too. Give me 1 second here. Oh, that's actually not the 11th. It's technically the 10th. But it is the 11th for me, but it's the 10th for you. Okay. Let me send a quick tweet. Yeah. I hate it. Oh no, I just realized I missed the statues at the vendor. Dang it.
Did you?
Or did they change at 1 a.m.?
I don't know. Which vendor? The luxury vendor?
Yeah.
What statues?
I think there were statues at the luxury vendor this week.
Well,
Like, I think there was a Stendar statue and stuff that had never been in there before. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna go look really quick. While it's fast traveling, I will send the tweet.
I think you should come over and play No Man's Sky with us.
In what free time?
Right now.
Right now? Silly.
I'm going to start a podcast network.
Oh gosh.
And it'll be this one and the No Man's Sky show and the Crazy Plays Elden Ring show.
Crazy Plays New World, Crazy Plays Elden Ring, Crazy Plays. That's just what it's called.
I think that the Elden Ring one would be great because you're the whole time you're just like ah.
That's actually true. I was gonna put something in the tweet and I realized it would have been weird and I didn't. I was gonna say, come join the Khajiit and the Bosmer as we talk about eggs in space. But then I realized that sounded really odd, so I decided not to. Wow. Elder Scrolls. Wow. It's been a week. And you're right, yes. An Elden Ring show would just be me screaming into the microphone, like, "Rah!"
Elden Ring is great. I would like to go back to that at some point. It's just...
Did you ever beat it?
No. Nowhere near it. That's a big game. Like, I'm pretty sure it's a 100+ hour game. And that's if you, like... I mean, you can speedrun it, I'm sure, faster than that, but... But it's not small at all. It's if you go through and actually fight all the bosses and stuff, it's a pretty sizable game.
Yeah.
And the bosses are all like, that game's meant to make you suffer. Heck, even some of the not bosses, like just roaming around, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fight that thing so that I can get some souls or whatever they were called in that game. I forget what they were called, but I'm gonna go get those so I can level up. And then it's like, oh, that thing hit me one time and I died. It looked like a little skeleton dude. Why did he kill me so quickly?
Yeah.
That game's all about rewarding patience and paying attention and learning patterns. And you don't really get through that game button mashing.
Yeah. My poor character is just standing here while I'm trying to send this tweet. I'm not multitasking very well at the moment. Ah! Come on, Varvark. Yeah! He's still here. What does he have? Ooh, Mouth of Mora from Apocrypha.
So you're
an
on the screen
RK
right now, right? I can see what you're looking at.
An RK statue. Dark Elf Knight. Dark Elf statue St. Dylan. Regatta Scout. Justice. Order. Y'all need Stendar. And Truth.
What was the top one? I didn't see it.
Those are the creepy, like, mouths that you run by in Necrom all the time. I like that RK statue a lot. I like the Dark Elf, too. It's pretty sweet. I wonder if Sask has this.
I don't know.
Should I buy it and send it to him?
I don't know. Didn't he say his house was maxed out?
I'm sure if I sent him a statue of Stendar, he would move something. Okay. Oh crap, I forgot to put the darn... Man. Copy, delete tweet. I forgot to put the address. There we go. Snugpod Cast. There we go. That's better. That's better. To Stendar or not to Stendar?
I sent him a message and asked.
Okay.
But you may not see it. I'm not sure if he's still online or not. Nope, he's still
Yeah.
on.
I also like this order statue. It's pretty cool.
I suppose you could always buy it, send it, and you can send it back if you don't want it. Probably sell it for 50K later.
Okay.
But that's up to you.
I bought it already. I think I'm gonna buy the Dark Elf too. I like it. Looks cool. RK is really cool too. I'm just spending money and not making money. Sure. Alright, well, now that I just spent a lot of coin, traveling back to you. Oh, we're not grouped. Forgot. Dang nabbit.
Oops.
What you oopsin'?
I accidentally got up.
Oh. Okie dokie.
It'd be nice if you didn't have to get out of screenshot mode to sit down and things like that.
Yeah. Alright, here we are. I'm going to retweet everything on my account. Repost. Okay. Good whenever you are, my friend.
Are you sure?
Sure.
Okay. Alright, I'll be good in a moment. I'm in the process of trying to look up something at the moment. I was going to send you a couple of screenshots.
Do it.
One of which is reminiscent. It made me think about this. I'll talk about it in a minute. But there's the screenshot.
Oh, that's cool. Ah, the one's very Telvanni.
Yeah, you got it.
The other one reminds me of Super Mario Brothers. Oh crap, I stood up.
You did that, and I was looking at you. He's like, sit back down, elf.
Sit down, Bosmer. Get your life together. Alright. I'll unmute.
Welcome to A Snugpod Cast. Welcome to 2 cast members. There are 2 of us on this episode that we are welcoming you to. I am Never Separate, and there's a wood elf next to me. Who are you?
I am Gone Crazy Back Soon. The wood elf next to you.
Well,
I should have just said that. I should have said, when you said, who are you? I should have said the wood elf next to you.
Well, I came prepared, because normally I sit between 2 wood elves, and I have to worry that I'm going to get eaten. But
This is true.
I'm a vampire, so...
Yeah, now I have to worry about you. Tainted.
Don't cross
Tainted.
me.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, so it's just the two of us tonight. Gwen is away and maybe away for a little bit. Just some things going on for her in real life she needs to take care of, and I've been there. Crazy's been there. We
Yep.
part of life, so hopefully she can be back with us soon. But for now, we're still hanging out in her house. She forgot to lock the curtain, and
We didn't have to take the tavern across the street like that one time.
yeah, yeah. She didn't pin the curtain up, so we just kind of stepped on through, and yeah. So we've got some ESO newsy stuff to discuss, and some not particularly ESO newsy stuff to discuss, kind of too, a little here and there. So we'll get into that. But for now,
Yeah.
what have you been up to?
Oh gosh. I haven't had a whole lot of time, but I guess I've had maybe a little more. I've probably had less time, but the time I've had has been a little longer, if that's a good way of putting it. So I continued on with the Necrom storyline a little bit. I'm to Cypher's Midden, and I was really digging into some lore on that. I took a bunch of notes on my phone and a bunch of things and wrote down a bunch of titles of lore books and did all of this stuff. And then when I went to look for it today, it wasn't there, which made me really, really sad. So I guess I never saved it. So that sucks. I did the Undaunted event a little bit because that's going on. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So yeah, I did some of that. I ran some random normals today with Toasted Peanut. And then I also soloed one and also did a couple dungeons today, just the two of us with Minwee Pro and I. So at one point.
Did you say you soloed a random dungeon?
Not a random.
Oh.
I soloed, the pledge was like Elden 1 or something like that. Elden Hollow 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went in and soloed it because I was like, I could queue for this, but as a DPS, it's probably going to take me forever. And I was like, I bet if I take Ember, for when I need her, if like I can't heal myself through anything, I'll be fine. And that's literally what I did. And I think I did it in like 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't bad at all. So yeah, I've kind of been messing around with it all around. I've done it with random pug groups. I've done it by myself. I've done it with just me and one other person. And yeah, that's how I've been doing the Undaunted stuff so far. I haven't really had a lot of time. Undaunted?
We
are undaunted. Yeah. So that's pretty much all I've had time to be up to in game at the moment. Yeah, it was a really busy work week for me. I had an event going on, so there was a lot of time that I was not really able to sit down and do anything in game, or I would come home and I would just be so tired. I'm like, I can't even log in, so I would just go to sleep. But yeah, that's about it.
Sounds fun.
Mm-hmm. How about yourself? What have you been up to? Anything?
Yeah, so not a lot. The only thing I've really had a chance to do, not as much because of lack of time, but just doing other things. But because I actually did have Saturday off and spent some of that time elsewhere, but not elsewhere. But I did have a couple of gold leads that I needed to get before they expired. I had two in Telvanni and one in the Deadlands, I think. And
Nice.
I don't even remember what they were for. I just knew I had to get them done. One of them was for, I think, one of the furnishing or the maybe the alchemy station or something. One was for a mythic, I think. I don't remember, but anyway, I had three of those that were pending in my log, and because I've started an Arcanist, and if I've played much, I've tried to be playing on that just to get it leveled up. I haven't taking much time to go and do antiquities on my other character. And we were discussing that earlier. If it does work out that I decide I like my Arcanist enough to jump over and start maining this class, probably going to end up actually just buying the antiquity skill line, because I don't want to level that mess up again. It was too grindy, and I don't mind doing the antiquities when I'm getting cool stuff, but I don't really want to fool with doing 1,000 antiquities just to get little things to sell for 100 and 250 gold.
Yeah, it definitely takes a while to get through the antiquities content.
Yeah, so, but we'll see. I'm not going to rush into that. If I do need to do them, I can do them on my Templar. But, yeah, just before we started, I sent you some screenshots. We talked last week that, I've been playing some No Man's Sky, and but it's been kind of fun seeing some of the environments in that game that make me think about environments from this game. There's a planet that I landed on that is actually considered a paradise planet, which means it has really good weather and not a lot of harmful things to deal with. And during the day, just lots of mushrooms and stuff, and then at night they glow. So
very reminiscent.
Which the Telvanni mushrooms don't glow at night, right?
Depends on where you're at.
I know that the glowing mushrooms I always associated, like in Skyrim, with
Blackreach
in the caves and stuff. Yeah.
There are a few that glow in the Telvanni Peninsula. A lot of times they're in like gardens or in like housing areas,
Okay.
more so than out in the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's been about what I've been up to as far as my in-game ESO expeditions go. The Undaunted thing, which we're going to get to, the event going on right now. I guess we could just go ahead and get into that.
Sure.
And then I'll give my take on that. So we do have the Undaunted celebration going right now. It's just basically dungeons and reward boxes and tickets and all the things that are associated with doing the events. But you said you've been doing some of that stuff on PC, right?
Yeah, I did some on PC. I tried to run one the other day on PlayStation. It was just so late. I was so tired. Actually, I think I might have done one of the solo. I think I soloed one on here the other day. I think that's how I ended up with 10 tickets. But yeah, in general, the other times that I've done it, like when I was at my event the other day that I was doing at work, I was just sitting around waiting for a long time. So that's when I did the one dungeon. But yeah, the drops aren't like too terrible. I mean, the Undaunted reward boxes that are the regular ones that you get, they don't have like a ton in them. They've got like potions and like random item set pieces or, things like that. But then the motif pages that have been dropping aren't bad for me. So I've had a couple of the opal pages already drop when I've been doing stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's nice to get the stuff, and you can always sell the other things. Like, that's the thing for me is when you're getting, like all of these potions and different things out of the actual boxes, even if you don't use them, like on a low-level character or whatever, if you go ahead and just sell them, you're still making money off of it, So that's the nice part. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that we had the event going and looked up, details on what all we were getting, and the new morph is you get the first two pieces to morph the oh gosh, what is it?
The passion dancer's garment.
Yeah. So
they
go ahead.
I was going to say, but the nice thing is they're also stocking old stuff. So they're stocking like old pet fragments and Deadlands stuff and Indrik stuff still. So that's
Right.
good.
Yeah, if you haven't gotten any of that stuff, it's a good time to get some of that, even if you're not interested. That's just where I've been at. They've really leaned into all of the Passion Dancer stuff this time around, and it's just not really my motif, so to speak. Not really, a look that I'm into. So all of that stuff, the last several events, has just been kind of like, I'm just going to sit on my tickets and wait for the next one. So I
The
haven't.
tickets must be very warm.
Yeah, they are warm tickets.
If you've been sitting on them this whole time with your furry Khajiit bum.
hopefully, I don't wear off the writing so that the impresario can still tell that they're valid. But yeah, I mean the other stuff, like you said, if you haven't collected all of the old things all the way back to even the Indriks, which were the first ones, right?
Those were some of the first tickets, I believe.
Yeah, the
were
Indriks
from
were the
Indriks.
were the first thing, because that first year was just Indrik, and people were
during
kinda tired of them.
Somerset.
So they finally changed that up. But if you didn't get any of those, if you weren't playing at the time, or missed a couple tickets on something, then every time they have an event, they rotate through which ones are available, right? Including the pets.
Mm-hmm.
So they've
been rotating through.
Yeah, so they're giving you an opportunity to go back and get that stuff, which is nice, because it's kind of a bummer to see stuff that people have in game that was available in game that you can't get anymore. So
Yeah.
them bringing that stuff back around is kind of nice.
Yeah. There are some, I can't remember if we mentioned this before on one of the other weeks, but there are new motif style pages that are coming. Well, actually, those are the motifs that drop, sorry. The new monster weapon styles. That's what I was trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
There's the new Sentinel of Rekugams, or Gam, I don't know, some dwarven word. Veladreth, Iceheart, Lord Warden, Nightflame, and the Swarm Mother. So those are new drops, I think. And then, of course, you've got all of the listed motif style pages for Ascendant Order, Bloodforge, Crimson Oath, Dreadsail, Fanglair, Huntsman, Hazardous Alchemy, Ice Reach, Mazatoon, Moongrave Fane, Pyrewatch, Silken Ring, Scalecaller, Silver Daunt, Stags of Zen, Silver Rose, Thorn Legion, True Sworn, and Waking Flame. So if you don't have any of those styles, get ready, because you can either get them yourself or you'll be able to buy them at guild stores very soon.
Are those I guess they are sellable then, right?
Mm-hmm. They should be if they're drops, yeah.
And you get the drops by defeating the last boss in the dungeon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yep.
You also
that's where you also get your tickets.
Right. The tickets are from dungeons only. And then you also can get drops from the elves too, correct?
Yep.
The Undaunted,
I believe it's like any Undaunted delve anytime you do the quest or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we could read the article and it would answer those questions, but yeah. So you can open this unique container to receive various reward items, including gold, consumable style pages, Undaunted keys, open weapon. Words tonight are so easy to say. Opal weapon styles and more. After you've defeated your first dungeon boss each day, keep going. Subsequent final dungeon bosses reward regular Undaunted boxes, which include, and you just listed off some of that stuff there. And then the daily glorious Undaunted reward box can also include the monster weapon styles. And then regular Undaunted reward boxes can also be earned by completing Balgrul's daily Undaunted delve quest. So there you go. Yeah. So if you are feeling brave and want to venture into some dungeons, now's a good time to do it. Even if you just like running dungeons, event or no event, now's a good time because you're going to get a bunch of extra stuff from doing it. So go and join up and be undaunted.
Who knows no fear of beast or blade?
Undaunted.
Yep. So there you go. That's the Undaunted celebration happening now through September 19th at 10 a.m. You know what else we got, finally? The last show, we didn't get it yet. We got a patch. Maybe not an eye patch, but we did get Update 39 finally.
Oh, okay.
However, it came with a nice little bug. So maybe we do need an eye patch. This bug, supposedly, I think so far has only been on consoles. I don't know if they've done a hotfix for it yet, or if they will be doing a hotfix for it at some point. It's for the UI team, basically. But it is essentially that new, like the new tool or the new system when you go into sell stuff or buy stuff. It is currently showing in the tab that things will not be able to be sold, even though they are things that can be sold. It's basically showing up on the buy page instead of on the sell page. So like when you go to buy, it'll say you can't sell this or something like that. So it's appearing in the wrong spot. Now, I don't think that it really affects anything. I think it's more so just annoying. Basically, Zos Kevin wrote, this is a new symbol to show where an item cannot be sold to a vendor. Here's the line from the patch notes. Vendor windows will now display an icon indicating items cannot be sold. However, our team has identified the bug where the symbol is showing up on the buy page and is not working as intended. It's meant only to show up on the sell page. We're working to get this fixed, and we'll update when we know a timeline for a fix for implementation. So if you're currently a console player, because apparently it is on PlayStation and Xbox, it will be potentially showing that bug right now. I guess a bunch of people, are saying it clutters the UI. It does all of these different things. But I appreciate it personally, because then I know what can and can't be sold. But, everybody has opinions. You can't make everybody happy. So, yeah, some other people gave feedback saying that, fixing it where it doesn't show on the buy screen is an improvement, but still they feel that it's generally unneeded. So, I don't know. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there because it's not it was not a bug that appeared on PC, but I guess it did appear with the patch on console, so it must have something to do with the controller UI or something along those lines.
Yeah, there's one question was raised. I'm just kind of looking through that thread about why do those items even show up at all, because stolen goods don't show up.
Yeah.
It's like it does seem like if they would have just made things that can't be sold just not show up in a sell screen, that would be a way to fix that, but
Tis
I
true.
have no idea what the difference is in coding that to work as opposed to coding in a new little symbol next to it. Either way is fine with me, but I would probably agree that the easiest for the user would be that it just doesn't show up. That way they don't see a symbol and have to remember, oh, that symbol means it can't be sold.
Right. Just
for it to not be there at all would be the better option, but we'll see what they do with it.
Right.
But other than that, no real bugs. Everything else is pretty smooth.
I think so. It seems so far. I haven't really gotten to mess with Update 39 too much. I mean, I can definitely see that there's some things that are different on my build, because it feels a little different at times. But I definitely want to look through my skills and, look at the whole, now that if it's on one bar active, it works for the other bar too, and things like that.
Is that every skill like that? Every, while slotted skill? I know that there was a few specified that I saw.
Yeah, I cannot fully remember. I need to go back and look. But I do know one of the ones that I really like is that one skill. Oh, pardon me. There's one skill that you cast it, and you have to do light attack weaves, and then it will proc a spectral bow. And it used to be that if you re-upped accidentally in your rotation, it would cancel out your stacks that you had already built. So it was easy to accidentally never actually get your proc. And now they've changed that, which is nice. You can't, like, once you start that, you can't recast or whatever. Or if you do recast, it doesn't dump your proc, which is nice. So I've got to mess with that one a little bit more. Yeah. So overall, pretty smooth thus far that I can tell, but I also haven't been delving through the forums.
No, we already talked about delving. That was the end on it event.
Yeah, that's true. The delving through the forums. Har, 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 har. Oh, man. I wish Gwen was here for a minute because there's something that she would, well, maybe not love because of Vivek and, yeah, Clockwork and, you know, Sothasil and all of that. Not her favorite necessarily. But what is her favorite is some cosplay stuff. And they did a community spotlight, and it says the Clockwork God and the Apostle captured in cosplay. So this is the Mad Tinkerer, that's their name online, and then also Arania. So they did an interview with them back and forth about their cosplay of the Clockwork God himself and an apostle, one of the Clockwork Apostles, which if you've done the Clockwork City questline, you know a little bit more about who they are and kind of understand who they are. So yeah, the photos that they took are amazing. The detailing on some of this cosplay stuff that they've done is fantastic. They made like a book. Their, you know, all of the armor and the mechanical arms and stuff look absolutely great. So yeah, just really, pardon me, the yawning is not for the, not liking the article. The yawning is because I am just tired. So really, really great stuff here. They also they did a cosplay for their original character, which is an Arcanist, Redris Sathrin. So that's really, really cool. Look, a Gwen! A Gwen is here! She just commented. She said, I actually love Sothasil. I've been following those two on Instagram for a while. The article is well deserved. Yay! I couldn't remember. It's just, you don't like Vivek, right? Is that who I'm thinking of? Like Sothasil, but not Vivek? Yeah, those two on Instagram have had some great content as well. I agree. So, only Sothasil. That's what I thought. The Tribunal ain't your favorite. But you like Sothasil. So yeah, they've got some great stuff. The Arcanist cosplay looks really, really nice too. The detailing is fantastic on her belt, or on their belt, I guess I should say. Yeah, so really great stuff there. If you want, you can find them on Instagram and Twitter, or X as it is in parentheses. So yeah, and same with the Mad Tinkerer. They're also on Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. So you can look at some of their stuff as they build it. But I love that they've been doing these community spotlights on, you know, cosplay and Legos and all sorts of different things. It's been really, really cool. So head on over and check out some of their photos.
Cool. Yep.
Yeah.
So
I know you're not.
You know I'm what?
Oh, I was going to say, I know you're not a person that like cosplays or does anything like that, but I mean, what do you think about the fact that they've started to branch out and use, you know, like actually publish that stuff or like look at community peeps for that stuff?
I think doing anytime somebody's going to take the time to to do something like that shows their love of a game or a franchise. To see the people that are responsible for making that franchise recognize them, I think it's cool. And I have no idea what these people do for a living, but I think it would be cool to see people like that considered for even like costume design stuff or like I know a lot of people have found been discovered in various art forms through things like that. But I think just for them to show recognition and for artists, be it cosplay or painting or we've had one or two music things too, haven't we? Or was that just the band? I think that was just the one band that.
That was just.
That's less of a community thing.
The one band.
But yeah, I think it's neat. Cosplay is not something that I'm overly interested in just for time's sake, and but it's basically just the same thing as costume design for acting in movies and shows and things like that. Like they're essentially just doing that stuff as a hobby that people get paid a bunch of money to do for designing costumes for a set. So I think it's cool to see what people can do that just have learned a craft and taken the time, including the stuff we've seen our very own Gwen do. I think that's neat.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. It's very, very cool. Only other thing. Go ahead.
Just to add to that, if some of these folks wanted to, depending, I don't know how much of like 3D printing is involved with some of that stuff, but if they're designing some of these weapons and things like that, if they are using 3D printing for any of it, there's a market for stuff like that, for replicas, for people that want to just collect stuff to kind of hang up on their shelves and things like that. So just a thought.
Funny that you mentioned that. Earlier today when I was on Twitter, because I'm not calling it X, earlier today when I was on Twitter, I actually saw someone who had taken the Sheogorath statue, and they had gotten the measurements or like the key points for it, and they had given it to their brother who owned a 3D printer and asked them to print one like as big as they could, and they ended up printing it in like pieces, like big chunky pieces or whatever, and then they glued it all together, and now they have this huge like 4 foot tall Sheogorath statue.
That's crazy.
I wish I should have saved the tweet. I don't know where it was, but they took like the little statue from in game, and they basically like had them scan it and render it and model it, and then they printed it in these like blocky chunky pieces, and he glued it together and spent all of this time putting it together, and now he has this giant Sheo statue. He's like, I kind of gave it to my brother as a challenge and like a joke, and then now I got something really awesome out of it. So he's gonna like sand it and paint it and do all the things to it. Isn't that crazy?
That is wild. Yeah. 3D printing technology's come so far. It's I mean, people there's places where they're 3D printing houses now.
Yeah, I mean, we use it at my work all the time, with props and stuff. So it's pretty cool to see that it's becoming more normal, like more common usage, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Not normal, but more common. It's still pretty expensive, but like it's more people are using it,
Yeah, a guy I used to work with got into 3D printing stuff. I don't know if he does that anymore. I think he does like automotive restoration, like classic car stuff. But for a while, he even got into teaching some 3D printing stuff at a college nearby. So yeah, just some cool stuff. But anyway, yeah, just back to the actual ESO related stuff there. Some of the I think the stuff that I would be most interested in having when it comes to that kind of stuff is some of the weapons. Like, I don't probably think I'd have a staff or like maybe a sword, but they're so big. But maybe like a dagger or something, or a helmet, if there's like a cool helmet or something that could be done that way. Because I mean, you could hand make all of them, I guess, but that seems like that would be such a big project to try to do those if you were going to sell those to people. But anyway, we're getting off subject. But short answer to your question, I do find that stuff neat. Anyway, remind me that
Gwen said, "Make it in pieces." She said, "Psh, make it in pieces."
I'm just thinking as far as the size of a staff or something and where it would go in my house. That would be my
Make
concern.
it so that it comes apart. That's what she's saying.
Well, no, but I would want it to display.
Oh, okay, that's true.
Yeah, not to carry around, but
that's
like to put like, I've got all these Funkos and other, things like that, just to put up on the shelf somewhere.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, if you were going to use it and carry it and, do things with it, then one that would come apart would be awesome. Remind me that I have a work-related question for you later, by the way, but not for now.
Okay. Only other thing really to note is that the Update 40 preview is later on this week. It's on the 14th. So stay tuned. Next time we do a show, we'll know more information about Update 40.
Now that's
pretty exciting.
That's the stream they're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not the PTS stuff yet.
Correct.
Okay. Yep.
So, yeah. So for lore tonight,
well, before we get into that, I think I'm gonna space out.
You're gonna space out a little bit, yeah. You've been in a different set of space than what I was talking about.
All right, carry on.
Look at that segue.
It was a bad joke.
It was a terrible joke segue, but we'll let it happen. There's only one Bosmer here, and you're a vampire now, so I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if I can handle it. So Starfield, of course, came out a couple weeks ago. Now at this point, there was a couple weeks ago, I guess, was the pre-launch, and then it launched earlier this week. So Starfield has been out for a while. It's a Bethesda game, and with Bethesda games, they always like to do little Easter eggs and things that kind of harken back to, other games and popular culture things. And it was pretty funny because when it first came out, I wasn't really hearing a whole lot from people about Easter eggs or thing that they had found yet, and I think it was mostly just because there were a lot of people with their hands on the game, but they were also so involved in it that they weren't really saying much at this point. And now it's starting to come out more and more on the internet and on the socials, and I thought it might be fun to talk about some of the Easter eggs that people have found that they think relate to Elder Scrolls. One of the ones that I saw earlier made me go like, huh? Because I really need to finish reading the book. But Alara, who is a contributor to the UESP, she was also in Vegas when we were there, I believe. But yeah, Alara posted, there's a planet, and its name is Umbriel. And Umbriel is I don't want to spoil anything, but Umbriel is in the Elder Scrolls novel, The Infernal City. And it's spelled the same way. So it's clearly, to me, that seems like that's probably an Easter egg that has to do with Elder Scrolls, which I thought was pretty fun. So that tweet actually is what kind of made my brain go down the rabbit hole a little bit and be like, okay, what's some other stuff that I've seen? A few days ago, I sent one to Minwee Pro because he's been really, really into playing Starfield right now. And I pulled it up here in this thing that I Googled, which was just like, the best Starfield Easter eggs for Elder Scrolls. And one of them, I guess, is there's a colonist who literally goes, I used to be an explorer too, but then never mind, it's a long story, referencing that they used to be an adventurer until they took an arrow in the knee. Fun fact, though, is if you actually choose some of the skill lines in Starfield, If you go to a skill that's called crippling, it shows like a picture of a knee. And there's like a kneecap, and it's clearly the knee joint. Now, this is the perfect Bethesda Easter egg, in my opinion. Because as soon as I saw this, I started absolutely laughing. So it says, after you upgrade the perk, the artwork changes, and it gets an arrow shot into the knee for the crippling skill. The higher the skill goes, the further in the arrow goes. So, when you're looking at the actual, like, artwork for the skill, it will eventually show an arrow going through your knee.
That's pretty awesome.
I think that's brilliant. Like, so brilliant. I love when game companies and developers do stuff like that, because sometimes it's like very obvious, like this one, and then other times it's just like little subtleties here and there, you know, like the Umbriel one. Unless you had read that novel, The Infernal City, you might not even catch the fact that there's a planet or a city or whatever, because haven't played Starfield, but whatever that is that's named and spelled the exact same way. So there's like subtle hints, and then there's other ones like that. The other one, of course, that everybody knows about is the Adoring Fan. So if you've ever played Oblivion, you had the Adoring Fan who would, you know, follow you around and talk to you all the time, and sometimes people would throw them off, you know, a cliff and all of these things. But they were very iconic. So now they have a character called the Adoring Fan as well, and you can actually choose a secondary skill or like a secondary piece called Hero Worshipped, and you will get the same sort of thing, but in Starfield, with the Starfield flavor. So it's actually the same voice actor, which makes it amazing. The character has the same sort of personality, which is also amazing. And to be quite honest, they look a little Bosmery. Like, they mimicked him very well in the game, but then they also made him look, you know, futuristic, which is pretty cool. Another really fun one that someone found, and this is like a smaller Easter egg, but it's still pretty cool, is I guess there's the name Delvin Mallory that is listed on a prison log, and that is a character in Skyrim who is a high-ranking member of the Thieves Guild in Riften. So again, another cool little, like, hint at some Elder Scrolls content that not everybody would catch. And the other one that was my absolute favorite that I saw is there is a scroll of some sort, and it's even on a scroll holder, and there is a book. And people are saying that this one is kind of a joke that has been left by Bethesda. So it's a scroll holder, and it's being held up by the book Great Expectations. People are inferring that it is kind of an Elder Scrolls 6 reference, you know? Like, it's being held up by, there's a lot of expectations for when it's coming and all of these things happening, and that it was announced before Starfield but released after Starfield, and, you know, all of that. So kind of a fun little reference there. The other thing too is there's somewhere else, and I didn't save it, but I have seen another like explanation for what that scroll is, and in the actual scroll description it says something about like time being not being a construct or something along those lines, and that, you know, people who read the scrolls had innate knowledge, or, you know, something. I don't exactly remember the wording, but it was pretty cool because it was kind of like, okay, it seems like they're probably referencing an Elder Scroll, but at the same time it also felt like a bit of a stretch, but, you know, still pretty fun little thing. So I just wanted to kind of touch on that because I thought it would be pretty fun to think about. I guess my whole reason for wanting to talk about it or touch on it is, what do you think about, or how do you feel about Easter eggs when they put them in games, when they are these larger or more well-known like pop culture references? Like, how do you feel about that from like a lore perspective? Do you feel like it breaks lore? Do you feel like it's a nice little nod to other things that the developers have done? Like, how do you feel about it?
I don't know that I'd say it breaks. I guess it depends on the context in which it's displayed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because if you take something like Starfield that's supposed to be set in kind of a futuristic environment, right? Um, then who's to say that they wouldn't have played a video game about Elder Scrolls? Um, so to see a scroll referencing uh, a game, wouldn't seem too far out there. Now, if you were to flip that and we're playing Elder Scrolls and we're just wandering about and come upon a starship because it's referencing Starfield, I think that would probably break lore and feel out of place.
Mm.
Um, but but going the other way, I think it works fine. Um, just because this is known to be fantasy, and Starfield is. I'm not saying Starfield's trying to be realistic, but it's supposed to be futuristic. Um, and there's technology, and video games are, we play them thanks to technology. So it's feasible that they might have a world like this that somebody's a fan of, that they collect memorabilia for. Um,
Well,
and then things like the skill tree showing stuff like that, like they found a way to the name, like the arrow in the knee would be crippling, right?
yeah.
So even if you don't have any clue, and this is um, probably one of the things that maybe would make the difference is like if you don't have any clue about Skyrim, then you wouldn't be thrown off by that. You would just think that's just what they went with, because it fits the game that it's in. Whereas if you are familiar with it, you go, it fits the game it's in, but I know what they were doing there. um, so
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, the I used to be explorer, but no, never. Like that. That's funny. I like that. I think that's they're like, yeah, I'm not going to finish that line. You know where I was going.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Well, and the interesting thing is, you were talking about space and Elder Scrolls. There's actually a whole like theory or community that
actually thinks
you know,
that Nern is round. Yeah.
yeah, Nern is round. Um, and Mundus is no, I'm just kidding. We're not going to go into that again. But like, there is stuff that talks about like theoretically spaceships or I think there's dirigibles and like all sorts of things that we don't really explore or talk about in Elder Scrolls Online, but it has been referenced, I believe. I'd have to go back and like really dig into the lore, but I do recall seeing that or hearing that. So even the space references in our game wouldn't be terribly off, kilter, but they're just not the main focus. It's not what you typically think of in this particular lore of this game. I do find, what you were talking about interesting, like it's feasible that someone could play a game or be a fan of the game. In Starfield, though, a lot of those references to things that we're talking about were things that are taken as like antiquities. So it's like supposed to be like an artifact, basically, rather than like a memorabilia piece. So they're actually kind of throwing it a little bit into the lore of that game too, in some ways, I think. I mean, like I said, I haven't played Starfield, but I've known quite a few people that have at this point, and I just thought it was fun to talk about that or look at what they do when they reference Easter eggs in other games. I think there are definitely some games that take it too far. I don't think either of these games have at this point, but there are games that, and I can't really think of specific examples, but I know that I've played games where I'm like, that's from this, and it's a little weird that it's here, like you said,
What was
So I think,
did you ever play? Was it Gex, the lizard
oh
game?
no, I didn't
Back
play that.
PlayStation 1, PlayStation
No.
2, maybe. Yeah, that game was nothing but pop culture references. He literally ran around quoting movies and stuff the whole time you're playing. It was really
That's
weird.
interesting.
Not quite the same as an Easter egg. It's very direct, but anyway.
Right.
Um, yeah, I mean, if they're presenting it in a form that it's like antiquities that they've found, I guess it depends on how they explain the possible things in the universe. Like you're saying that there are Elder Scrolls references to things that could be taken as spaceships. Um, it's one thing for them to read about seeing something in the sky, or I'd have to see the reference you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But to just walk up and go, there's a starship laying on the ground. What in the
Yeah.
world? Like, it just looks out of place. There's this weird, technologically advanced thing in the middle of a desert with dragons flying around and weird two-legged lizard creature things, you know.
Right.
Um, so it would depend on how well they, I think, established um, why it works within their world. Like I said, as long as they can find a way to make it feel like it fits, I think it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you come across something, you're like, now I'm just taken out of the game because now I'm like, what is this doing here? This doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be here. Why is it here? Um, but if if it's antiquities and you're flying around and they say, well, magic exists in Starfield. I don't. Does magic exist in Starfield?
I don't know. I haven't played it. I have no
Um,
idea.
Because if magic exists in the universe they've created, then perhaps all of the people on Nern that thought they understood everything around them were mistaken, and here's these other planets that um, exist, and they're just on one of them that somebody happens to find, and after the great dragon break destroyed everything or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to write lore by any means, but
No. But I know what you mean.
if they find a way to make it make sense as to why it exists in their game, in their universe, then I think it's okay.
Yeah.
And
No, I agree.
I think it's fun.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, I just thought that might be a fun little, short thing to talk about and how it like relates to lore. So not necessarily the lore on it itself, but how, do you feel like things like that affect the lore of a game, or how do you think it's works when they tie it into the lore of a game? How do they cross over? How do they do those things? So I wonder what it's like to sit in on a dev meeting where they're like, yeah, and okay, in this section we've got this skill. We're going to name it Crippling, and we're going to reference the arrow to the knee thing from Skyrim because Skyrim is a huge pop culture reference, and, we want to make this sort of joke or whatever. Like, I wonder how much, being that it is Bethesda to Bethesda thing, I'm sure it's not as much red tape, but I am curious, like, how they go about that, or like if someone's like, I want to add this joke in or this Easter egg in, like how does that work as a developer? Do they have to clear it? Do they have to clear it with the lore people?
How many of those things get put in by developers that can put it in without without telling anybody, and then somebody within the company's playing the game and they're like, wait, what?
Todd Howard's playing and he goes, wait a minute, who did this? Who programmed this?
And you have to wonder if in those meetings you've got some like younger person who's not familiar, or an older person who's not familiar, who's just really good at coding or whatever, and they hired him recently, and they're like, oh yes, we're going to reference the arrow to the knee, and they're just sitting there going with this blank look on their face, and they raise their hand. What?
But if we're being honest, if you don't know the arrow to the knee joke by now, do you even video game, bro?
Yeah, this is true. And if they're gonna take so many Easter eggs from their own games, is there like a planet in Starfield with a race of people with potato heads?
No, but there is a potato Easter egg.
Well, I mean, is there a potato Easter egg, or is it just potatoes exist also in that world?
No, it references Lord of the Rings. So it says can be prepared many ways: boiled, mashed, used in a stew. The recipes are nearly limitless.
That's funny.
So it's like a flavor text, but people are saying that they think it's a Lord of the Rings reference.
Oh gosh, Borderlands does a lot of that stuff. You said flavor text, and that just triggered my thought on that. Yeah, Borderlands has a lot of flavor text on not even legendary only, just random guns you'll pick up or other pieces will have red flavor text for all kinds of things, and I would not be surprised if there is some sort of Skyrim Easter egg or something in Borderlands, one of them somewhere. So, yeah, that stuff is very common.
Yeah, I feel like flavor text is usually the easiest way that they sneak stuff in. But when they full out have like an NPC say it, or when they sneak it into a skill line, or something that's direct, like, it's really, really fun. Yeah, I think a lot of times and here's the other thing about Starfield. I think you only get like 2 skills or something, or like secondary skills. So if you never chose cripple, you would never see that.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So the game is so big, like, I wonder how many more references there are that people don't know about or haven't found yet. There's got to be some.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that you'll be probably seeing articles about Easter eggs for quite some time. I still to this day see articles about Skyrim where somebody supposedly discovered something new, and I'm sure it's not something that's never been discovered, but they're just writing articles. But
yeah, exactly.
But with that game being as new as it is, I'm sure there's going to be quite a bit. So
I'm sure. So there it is. That was my fun little lore discussion for the night. I thought it might be cool to do, so it was a good time.
I was trying to see if I could find any references to, but maybe another time. That'd be a fun little game to play.
You can report back to us.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess that's gonna wrap it up. I don't see anything else in the notes other than our usual announcements. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mondays with Moki. Moki's taking a vacation, so we're not doing that this week.
Not this week, yeah. And by the time it posts anyway, Monday would be over.
Right. So,
but
if you're wondering why there wasn't one, it's because Moki's on vacation.
Yeah, but the following week we should be back on our normal schedule.
Yeah. So fishing, Cyrodiil, sometimes other stuff too. So that's
They've been
Mondays.
They've been working on a lot of the Necrom stuff, like world bosses and Bastion Mimics, the past couple weeks, which is cool.
Excuse me, you gave me yawns.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that's 8 Eastern, 7 Central, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, grouping up 30 minutes prior, and no kind of requirements, just a casual, laid-back, fun little hangout. So Tuesdays we've got Dungeon Night, and we call it Treacherous Tuesdays. It's all the dungeon things. If you want to farm gear, do lore runs, speed runs, achievement hunts, any of that kind of stuff. And then Tuesday is the night that we sort of designate for doing that kind of stuff. And this week, Friday, if you are really into the Undaunted stuff, then we have Fearless Friday with Arthuria Dragoon. And that is our Undaunted event because...
Undaunted.
Undaunted. We are
Undaunted.
Yeah.
You always ask as if it's a question.
Yeah.
We are Undaunted?
Yeah, so they group up and do the delves and dailies, Undaunted things. So with the event going on, it's a good time to jump in on that too. Yep. And if you've got other ideas for other events, you can reach out to us through Discord, and you can see about doing that. We're on all the platforms, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. So I am PlayStation loyal. Crazy and Gwen are both PlayStation traders.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
I solved my red name problem by taking a gold name.
yeah, yeah.
Mess.
But anyway, yeah, you can come hang out with us in Discord if you want to do that. There's a link. Just go to eso.loreseekers.club, and that's got all the links to the different things, or lore seeker related, and
Including a Starfield Discord.
Starfield Discord going on all right.
Mm-hmm.
So you can head there, and there's a brief survey, or not survey. I don't know why I keep wanting to call it a survey. A brief questionnaire.
There's a brief survey to figure out whether we like you or not.
It's a little short application. Just, tell us a little about yourself, and before, we do that to make sure before we let people in that the type of guild that we are trying to maintain fits with the type of game you are trying to play. And just because it doesn't fit doesn't mean anything wrong, but it just might not be a good fit. You have 5 guild slots, and we don't want to take up a guild slot for somebody that, is, on PlayStation. We're not super into running hardcore trials all the time. So if you're looking to have 5 guild slots full of that, this is not the guild for you. So if you tell us in your application, I'm really into running nothing but trials 24/7, then, we're either going to say you want to lead events, or maybe this isn't the right place. But anyway, so it doesn't necessarily mean anything negative, but that's just so we can make sure that we fit together well. So head on over to the site, and you can check us out there. Get into Discord. You can chat with all of us there, and if you want to chat with us outside of Discord, you got a few ways you can do that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got all of our social media. So you can find us on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it, at Snugpod Cast. You can also send us an email at snugpodcast@gmail.com. And then if you're here with us, you're probably watching us, potentially, if you can see Never and I, on our cozy little space on Twitch at twitch.tv/snugpodcast. You can also watch our stuff on YouTube by searching for Snug Podcast, and you should find us.
And if you are watching this and prefer audio format for this kind of content, then all you have to do is search Snug Podcast on your podcast app of choice, your podcatcher, so they say. And you should be able to find us there too. So you can watch, you can listen, you can watch and listen. There's so many options here. But I do want to say, I think we're going to probably just go ahead and unofficially name the social media platform formerly known as Twitter.
Wow.
Yeah. The little bird formerly known as.
It's your ex. Yeah. Oh, boy.
It's not my ex.
Not mine either.
Oh, boy. Anyway, well, all right. So we'll see you next time, and hopefully we will have some more info on the new update, Update 40, and some of the things coming with that. I am interested. We're going to find out about those crafting tables, right?
Yeah. Gwen says it's an ex-parrot, by the way, referring to Twitter.
Oh. By the way, hi, Gwen. I haven't said hi because I'm not watching the Twitch stuff. So, but hello. And, yeah, I completely lost my train of thought.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Yeah, update 40.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to finding out more about how those tables are going to work. And then we're also going to be finding out soon about the endless, what do they call that?
Archive.
Endless archive. Yeah, I want to see what they're doing with that. I'm a little interested in a new type of activity.
I'm also excited to see the class armor.
Class armor?
Oh, yeah, you don't know about that?
Are they making armor specific for classes now?
Yes.
Really?
Supposedly, one of the things coming from Endless Archive is potentially like armor that could work for certain classes as well. So we'll have to find out.
Is that just an aesthetic thing or a functional thing when you say it
We
could
don't know.
work? Okay. All right. So, is that going to be part of Update 40?
Yes, because it's the stuff that's going to drop from Endless Archive.
Okay.
So
All
we'll
right.
find out.
Yeah.
Stand by for more.
Yeah. So
Potentially.
we'll leave you hanging on that. Hopefully, we have some more information on that next week. Awesome. All right. Well, until next time, I hope that everyone has a great week and take care of yourself, take care of others, and just be a great person. And we will catch you next time.
Sleep well, Tamriel.